Right, so I'm going to do a very quick vlog. I'm not going to take too long because it's quite late on a Sunday evening, and yeah, I'm pretty tired, and I've got a big day tomorrow. But I've been wanting to do this one for a little while actually, and I guess this one's going to be they're going to get a bit more controversial, and this is going to be one of those types. Um, it's I've been wanting, like I said, won't do it for a little while, but I came across an article yesterday. It was actually on Lad Bible, so it's a very reputable source, but basically there was a guy who was flying from one place to another. I think it was UK based. I'll just double check. I should check that before. No, sorry, it was US based. It was flying about 300 miles, something like that, between cities. And basically, he was sat in his seat, and he had two seats. And then the guy that came and sat next to him was incredibly overweight, and he basically complained to the to the air crew, to the cabin crew, and said that was there another seat? He didn't feel that he should have to sit next to this guy because this guy was apparently overspilling into his seat by about half. So he was quite squashed, and he just found it quite over the top. Really, this other guy was taking up so much space. So the cabin crew, from what I can gather from the article, agreed and basically said that the man would have to pay for another seat, so he'd have to have two seats together because that's their policy. And but they didn't have any other seats, so he'd have to wait for another flight. But the guy couldn't really wait for another flight because he had to get to the city, so on and so forth. So the guy who sat next to him, who'd complained and who was just getting covered too much. Basically, it was just this guy come over too much. He offered for the guy to pay half his tickets, so basically $150, to compensate him, which the guy did, and he gave him the cash there and there on the plane, and that was fine, and the flight went, and off we went. So Lad Bible posted this, and I've been watching the comments sort of coming through over the last few hours earlier and a few just a minute ago. It's a real bit of a mixed bag, to be honest, and it's quite an interesting one because I fly relatively regularly. It's a bit different in the UK to how it is in the US, but I've just come back from New Zealand, so that's a long haul flight where you're traveling for sort of 20, 24 hours, 25 hours on planes, so that's a long haul. And I'm sort of torn on this one, really, to be honest. I would not want to sit next to somebody that was heavily overweight, that was overspilling their seat onto mine. And I think I probably would flag it. And I'm really interested to see if other people would do the same thing. There's a lot of people saying it's about fat shaming and, you shouldn't do it and rah, rah, rah. But do you know what? There's a lot of people here just saying that people don't say anything because they're scared of the repercussions, or they're scared that we live in a society where you can't say things like that without being judged, without being ridiculed, or without people attacking you. And do you know what? I just think that's complete bollocks. I mean, it is true that's the society we live in, but if you're heavily overweight and you're going to travel on a plane, then I think you should be buying two tickets, or you should, that should be taken into consideration. I think this guy's probably well within his rights to do it. But I thought I would just post it because it's something that really, I don't know, it's something that really gets me. Because on the flight on the way back from New Zealand, on the second part of our flight, there was a woman who was sat the other side of the aisle from me. She was quite a big woman. She was quite big, and I could see that the guy next to her was like quite uncomfortable with it. It didn't really bother me because she wasn't sat next to me, but then every time she got up and turned around, I literally had a bum like in my face. And I said to Emma partway through the flight, I was like, dude, I'm going to switch with the kids because this is not good. But yeah, literally every time she got up, I just had this massive bum on my face. And then when I was just trying to sleep at some point, she just kept nudging me. So yeah, I get it. And I think sometimes in society is, and this is kind of the crux of my vlog, and I'm going to just turn it off. I don't want to do an overly long vlog tonight. Is that we get to a point where it's somewhere during the line we've accommodated and allowed for certain things in society, and one of those things is we've allowed people to get really obese and actually treat it as almost as an illness, a sickness. In the same way as an illness or a sickness we can potentially prevent. And I just think that's really, really wrong, because do you know what? If someone, and there are medical reasons that some people are overweight, but then a lot of it actually is you just bloody eat too much and you don't exercise. And I think in society, if someone gets heavily overweight, like heavily overweight, that encroaches on other people. So whether that's because you're sat next to them on a train or a plane or a bus, or if they're in an environment next to you and they get really hot and sweaty because they're quite big. If it's, I think when I go to restaurants sometimes, especially if I ever go to if I ever go to all you eats or buffets, which isn't that often, but when I do, I just see some really obese people piling up food. I'm just like, do you know what? Sometimes I think we have a duty to turn around to these people and actually say, guys, like, come on, man. Like, you're gonna. Not only is it really like quite intrusive on other people and quite almost a bit disgusting is quite a strong word, but quite intrusive, I think is probably the right way. But actually, it's not good for you. And when we look at and I hope some people really shame me on this. I really do hope that you challenge me on it, because that's I'm all good with that, and I'm happy to answer that. But at the same time, if you look at it the other way, so it's people's choice whether they get fat or not. That's up to them. As long as it doesn't encroach on other people, fine. But what happens when you start getting like diabetes, or when you start getting heart conditions, or when your arteries get so clogged that you then need to go to hospital to you use the NHS basically to fix the medical problems that you've created yourself by the way you live? Exactly the same with smoking. So I'm not just, the only reason I'm picking on, say, fat people, the only reason I'm picking on obese population today is purely because of this article. But yeah, I'll be really interested to know, do you think it's fair that if you sit down somewhere, public transport or paid transport, whatever it is, wherever you are, you sit down somewhere and somebody who's properly obese here sits next to you and overspills into your space? Do you think it's fair and right and appropriate to turn around and say, excuse me, but here we go? And the next question is, if you see somebody that's really obese, like really heavily obese, at what stage is it okay? Is it ever okay to say to people, dude, what the hell? Or like to say, like, guys, like, do you not think about maybe like, what stage is it okay to say that, or is it never okay to say that? And here's a really controversial one. Is it okay to turn around to a parent with a really fat child or with an obese child and say, your child is incredibly unhealthy and you should be making sure as a parent that they don't get to that size, and now that they are, it's your duty to make sure that they slim down, basically, that they lose weight? So I'm just curious. See what you think. It's not me fat shaming. I'm just posing the question that some people are just don't want to, I guess. So yeah, see what you think, and yeah. Ping your comments below. I'd love to hear them. I'd love to answer back to them. So ping your comments below, and obviously subscribe to the channels, and we'll have more vlogs coming out over the next week and so, and some other controversial bits and pieces that I think we're going to pick up on. So yeah, comments below, and I'll answer those as they come in. Brother, it's caught in the crossfire. Caught in the crossfire.